Welcome back, Pop-Up's Horsepower Shop. I'm Jeff. Last video, remember we got the crank installed in the block, and so right now we are going to get the rings on the pistons and hopefully get them all in. So got the piston rings. These are sealed power. Part number is E-35X30. So these are 30 over 305. These are already pre-fit rings, basically, which is they're going to have probably too much gap, for making a whole lot of power. But it's a stock engine. It's not that big a deal. I do always check. Just we'll put a couple in, make sure they have at least have enough gap. Too much gap, is a lot better than not having enough gap. So I'm sure this isn't even going to be an issue. We'll check this third ring. Oh yeah, we're not going to be an issue. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put all these oil rings on the pistons, have them all set up, and then we're going to go and check the top and second groove, make sure they all have clearance, and then we'll get those on the pistons. All right, I have number one piston just sitting in the vise. It's not very tight. On these, it has a groove here. The groove always faces to the front of the block. So 1357 is all going to be facing this way. 2468 will all be the opposite way. Okay. Now, I do not know if this matters or not, but it's the way my dad taught me, so this is how I do it. 1, 3, 5, and 7. We're going to stagger the rings, so I always put the gap to the top on 1, 3, 5, and 7. The second ring, the gap's going to be at the bottom. Top ring, the gap will be at the top again. 2, 4, 6, 8 is going to be the exact opposite. But anyway, oil ring, gap to the top. Now we put these in, and we're going to put them down here. If this was 12 o'clock, we're putting them at about 10 and 2, the gap. And there's the oil ring. I'm going to go through and put all the oil rings on, and then we're going to check the gap on the top and second ring. I will come back after I have that done. Okay, and just for reference, what I was talking about soon, this is piston number 2. So the notch goes in the front. Generally, the rings go in either way. On this set, there's a dot on the second ring. The dot always goes up. They actually have a slight bevel. The bevel goes down. Now on the top ring, there is nothing, so it doesn't matter. It goes either way. So a little trick setting the gap. Like I said, these have plenty. I think spec calls for, if I remember, I have to look it up. I think it was like 25 to 35 thousandths. So these are going to have plenty, but put it in, and to get it straight, take a piston. You already got your oil ring on, which is why I did this first. Slide it in. Now your ring is pretty well straight in that bore. These are, that was 30 and it's tight. These are about 28 thousandths gap. So that's not bad. That's right in the middle there. I can live with that. I'm going to go through and check all these, and then we'll come back and put the rings on. The ring gap is all checked. Everything looks okay. This is number 1 piston. This is the top. So I'm going to put the gap on the second ring to the bottom, gap on the top ring to the top of the piston. Second ring has the dot. I have a ring installer tool. Actually, I'm really not familiar with using these. We just normally put them on, but these are just cast stock rings. They're a little more brittle. You just slide it in like that. Gently squeeze it till it goes over the piston. And into the second groove. Second groove is on the bottom. Top groove is on the top. And same situation. Now this is number 2 piston. This will be the top. This will be the bottom. So we were going to put the second groove ring with the dot up. It goes this way. And the top groove will face this way. Like I said, I don't know if it really makes much difference. This is the way I was taught, and that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and finish the other 6 pistons, and then we'll see about installing these in the block. All right, so we got our number 1 piston. Where I go, just make sure it's clean. Take our bearings. Now on a stock, it does not matter which bearing is which. If you are doing a high performance build where you have fillets on the crankshaft, the rod bearings will be tapered, and they do matter which one goes where. But for our build, it does not matter. Take our assembly lube, put it on the bearing. Just some regular motor oil on the wrist pin and the skirts. We're going to go ahead and set this. You'll set this in the vise. And we have the old style piston ring compressor. They say you can rent these at AutoZone. My AutoZone didn't know what the hell I was talking about, so I bought this off of Amazon for about 12 bucks. These work okay. If you're going to build a lot of engines, obviously you're going to want the special tapered ring compressor. But if you're only doing one, this just takes longer, but it works okay. So you want to make sure you get it over all the rings. All the rings are straight, and you just tighten it down. Now I have just a couple pieces of tubing to put over here. This is just got it past the crankshaft so it doesn't nick anything up. We are ready to install piston number 1. So here we are on number 1. We're going to get the crankshaft journal pointed down. Grab some of our assembly lube, put it right on the crankshaft. We've got our piston. The notch goes to the front. This is the front of the engine. So we're just going to slide it in. Seat it like that. Tilt this up a little bit. Got my rubber mallet. We're going to set this straight. Give it a little tap, make sure everything is seated. Take this in gently. Tap it in. Grab the rod bolt down there. And we are down against the bottom of the crankshaft. Remove your rubber hose. Your rod cap. Add a little more assembly lube on this, on the crank. Now, when I took this apart, I always marked the rods. I have a 1-in-1, so I just lined the marks up. It is the tabs go on the same side, just like on the main bearings. Again, just motor oil on the threads and on the face. And we will snug this up. And we'll put the next one in. We've got our side-to-side clearance. That is good. I'm going to go ahead and install the other 7, and I'll come back when we're ready to torque these down. All right, now we're ready to torque these. I looked up the torque specs. These are 3/8 rod bolts. They get 45 foot-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and set this to 45. And I said, now keep in mind, you don't need to have a real fancy torque wrench for this, especially on a small block Chevy build. One from Harbor Freight, I'm sure, is good enough. But I have this one, so we are going to use it. 45 foot-pounds. Always check your torque twice. I've had it to where I was torquing down rods, got distracted, come back, recheck the torque on all of them, one rod bolt's loose. That would be disaster. Can't hurt anything by double checking your torque. Only takes a second. I'm going to do all these, and then I'm going to spin it all around one more time, and then I will check each one more time. All right, there we have them all torqued. Up next, we're going to install the cam. Thanks for watching.